we can believe that we live in a world where community requires grinding and infinite content, and it's all about you. Or you can create something that you can charge more money for, where the value is in how are people meeting each other in pursuit of transformation in their lives. That is the power of a network.
We're going to welcome Gina to the stage. Gina,
Hi,
welcome. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I mean, like, how amazing just listening to you share the summary of day 1 and day 2. My jaw was a little bit on the ground, and then I just was like, "Okay, hopefully I can throw some good nuggets out here, and we have a great day. Kick off
Well, we've
an amazing day." That's what I
we've
want.
been so focused on like just all of the content
Yeah,
with like how you can be a great creator in the new age of AI, all kinds of different specific creator stuff. We've not talked about Mighty a whole lot, and so I want to start there. Gina, I want to hear like why you started Mighty, why this was even a thing that you wanted to invest your time in, why this is a company you even want to start with. I want to hear like the why behind Mighty and
yeah.
and why you think it's something that's really important for folks to be doing.
Absolutely. Before I do that, let me ask you a question. What was the thing yesterday and the day before that you were like, felt was totally unexpected? Like your own takeaway where you were like, oh man, that was not something I expected. Like you were there for all the sessions. What was it? It's like my
The one from Nikki yesterday that really hit me, like it was like a bomb drop. She's like, it takes less energy to be yourself than to play a character being somebody else.
yeah,
And like basically, she was talking about how she just shows up as her true authentic self, and that's how the content and the audience has grown,
yeah,
is just truly being herself. And it
yeah.
was like she said it so easily and naturally, like, Darrell, it just takes a lot less energy just to be yourself than to be anything
So
else.
true. That
The
that is
other thing,
such a great point. Such a great point. Yeah.
I think the other thing, uh, every single session has had a theme in it. And this is my biggest takeaway of the entire event at large is it's about people. It's about people. Every person has said, hey, there's lots of tricks, there's lots of tactics, there's lots of like hacks, or people will talk about shortcuts. But the most successful creators in the world, the most successful people in business are people who truly understand people. They understand how they tick, they understand how they think, they understand the problems that are keeping them up at night. And if you can do that and you can truly meet people where they're at, everything else doesn't matter nearly as much as that. And I
Mhm.
can't tell you that every single session has had a theme of that.
Yeah.
And that was not planned at all. Like that's not something we thought about behind
Right,
the
right, right,
scenes.
right,
But it was
right.
like, hey,
Only the
actually, look,
information did.
the
Yeah,
secret is there's no secret. It's actually always about people. It's always been about people, and it's always going to be
yeah,
about people.
yeah. Um, that's so beautiful, and I know you did not set me up with that answer, but I will take it and run with it because the reason I started Mighty with Tom, who you'll meet shortly, and Tim Herby, is because I think people are absolutely amazing. And specifically, I believe we are at such an important moment in time where it's not about people as content producers. It is about people as relationship builders.
Yeah.
Relationship builders. I by the way, I saw a question. Don't let me forget. So Mr. G in NYC is like, what is my? So I'll get to that. But at the end of the day, I believe in social media, we have lost the magic of relationships between people. And specifically, I think a lot of us have just kind of gotten bad at people stuff like how to introduce yourself and how to meet people and how to have conversations that are about the connection more than it is about either the content or the transaction. And so if we just think about the opportunity and how to create true value in the world, it is really about how you connect people to each other. So I started Mighty with the goal of enabling anyone to build their own network of people in pursuit of results and transformation in their lives. So what does that look like? So again, just I'm teeing off of Mr. G NYC. We are a software platform, just like call it Shopify. And instead of building a store, you would build a community, courses, memberships, challenges, events, anything where the value is in how are people meeting each other in pursuit of results and transformation in their lives. So that is what we offer. Think about it as Shopify for community and a number of other things that we offer, because it turns out when you are bringing people together to meet and build relationships with each other, they want to do stuff together. Pretty straightforward. They want to do stuff together. And what are those things they want to do together? They want to learn, they want to meet, they want to go on quests, take on challenges, things that they haven't done already. It's just easier to do when you are doing it with a group of people. And so I just give me any feedback in the comments of if that's clear. Yes, Barb, it is either an alternative or complementary to Substack. We are a platform where it's also much more about what you're creating. So you could imagine having a email newsletter on Substack or Kit or Beehive or any of the other email platforms. I personally love Kit. I think they're amazing. And then when people want to build relationships with each other, not just have a comment section, not just have something where they're consuming your content, but actually consuming your content and being able to meet and build relationships with other people who are on the exact same path. That is what we offer with a Mighty network. How would it compare then to other platforms like School? And there's probably a zillion others. Mighty fundamentally is focused on how you create a community where your people are meeting and building relationships with each other. And it turns out that is a lot harder than it sounds. So where other platforms are like, oh, come and, be the star of your community, and it's another way for you to generate revenue. We'll talk about how to create value, how to build revenue. But that is only partially what you have to do to create true value for people. And especially in the age of AI, true sustainable and defensible value for your members. And I'll just sort of stop there with the Mighty commercial and maybe up level it a bit. Our job as creators, if we want to make a living as a creator, either as a side hustle or as a full-time job, or even an empire like 6, 7, even 8 figures, it requires generating value for people such that the value is more than you are asking them to pay. So you're creating more value for what you are charging. So that's the sort of the fundamental game of entrepreneurship, and creators are certainly a subset of entrepreneurs. Here's the amazing thing about community, and think about community in this way, because it's pretty specific. Instead of I'm talking out at you, you're talking back to me. I am as a creator, I'm the most important person to be generating content, and I want other people to consume it. A community, in my definition, is going to be different. And there's a reason that I will share in a moment. A community is where, as a creator or as a host, My job is to give people things to do for them to build relationships with each other and for them to get results and transformation in their lives that they can't get on their own. So it's not consume my content. They might show up for my content, but the faster that I can get people to connect with each other and take action and build habits that they wouldn't otherwise be building, I am creating more value from that network of people, that network effect, than anything I could do with an audience. Why? Because in a network, the whole thing doesn't rely on you. Members are getting value from each other. They're getting value from each other, which means if you think about it, it's like the content production, the engagement, the reasons for coming back. The reasons for coming back is all the other members, not just you. Not just you, which means that if you want to build a incredible business, setting it up like a party that you're hosting where you can go upstairs and go to bed and it still keeps going on and on, that is the goal. That is the North Star. And the value that people are getting from your community or your network of, again, meeting and building relationships with other people, it really comes down to three things. So community is more valuable than content for three really key reasons. Reason number one, a community is the single most effective way of navigating rapid change or really any transitions in someone's lives. And especially in a world that's moving really fast, a world that is highly dynamic, that like where a book that was written a year ago about AI is already obsolete. That's where content is actually not that helpful. A community that is living and breathing and processing new information that's coming in is significantly more valuable to the members of that community than anything that can happen with content that you're producing. You just can't produce content fast enough, even with AI. And the quality of AI content is just going to be not as good, even with your digital twin or digital brain or all of that stuff. People love other people. They love their stories, their experiences, their ideas. Interestingly, not advice. Their stories, ideas, and experiences. That is how people create value for each other. It's how we're hardwired as living, breathing human beings. So a community is able to react, navigate, do really great things together in a way that content alone is much more static. So a community is much more dynamic. So a community is the single most effective way to navigate rapid change. So for example, if you are thinking about or are a creator for a niche that is undergoing fundamental change because of the way technology is evolving, you want a community because you want to bring people together who are sharing their stories, their experiences, and their ideas. That is incredibly valuable. The second reason communities are so valuable is that communities are the single most effective way to build new habits or new practices, change habits or practices. And that is absolutely critical to people paying. So where you think that someone's going to change their life by listening to your content, by walking around with your podcast in their ears, maybe, probably not. What is so much more powerful is that if you want to change your habits around exercise or diet or your how you show up as a professional, It is so much more powerful to watch tens or hundreds or even thousands of people do those things, and then you're like, "Okay, I know I'm cold. I know I'm in bed. I know I don't wanna get up and work out yet. I could surf my phone with one eye open, but I'm just watching this set of notifications of all the other people who got up and, like, worked out this morning." I'm like, "Alright, fine, I'll go." Um, that is powerful. That can only happen in a community. Only happen in a community. And finally, when you have a community being the most effective way in the world to navigate rapid change and a really dynamic world, where a community is the single most effective way to change your habits or build new practices, guess what? A community is the single most effective way for any individual to get results and transformation in their life. And guess what? What do we pay for in the world? We pay for change. We pay so that we can be smarter and more popular and skinnier and prettier and more loved. Like that, and people pay attention to what they pay for. So when you are thinking about how you may want to be leveling up to 7 figures, how you may want to, um, build a new revenue stream, especially if your revenue streams are either shaky or under pressure because of just like, the sheer volume of content that exists in the world. People are never getting replaced. Content will be. It will just hide amongst so much AI slop that it's pretty brutal. People connecting to other people and their stories, experiences, and ideas, that is never going to become obsolete. So people pay attention to what they pay for. That means you can create a new revenue stream with a membership. And the way I think about courses, content, community, think about it this way. Community, that network, people connecting to each other, that is the core of your product. That's the product people are buying. And you might sell that in some different ways through memberships, paid memberships, through paid courses, specifically through paid cohort courses, through paid challenges and paid events. And we're all used to buying tickets for events. We're used to paying for workshops, challenges, courses, and memberships are very much the same thing. So think about those as the monetization layer or revenue generating layer. And that network, that community of people building relationships with each other, that's the product. So I'll stop there for a sec. I haven't looked at the chat. I'm gonna take a sip
What
of some oat milk latte. How's it going? Are people like Darrell? Are people like Gina? Like, where's where's my content? Where's my
you know,
content?
I
Here.
love this because a lot of people are getting it. It's clicking for a lot of people, which is this is a fundamental shift. And listen, I've been in this space for 20 years and content has always, I mean, this was it. Content is king. This was the phrase that I grew up. I mean, I was 18 when I started doing this, and content is king is a phrase that we've been saying for 20 years. And with the introduction of AI, things are fundamentally different. I was telling somebody the other day, the first time I ever saw Chat GPT at work, I was like slack-jawed. I didn't even know how to exist or how to comprehend it. And the fundamental shift of like, people are going to consume content differently. They're going to learn differently. I already do. Like, if I want to learn something at depth, I go to deep research. I type in exactly what I'm trying to learn. And in 8 minutes, I've got like an undergrad level paper about what
Right.
that topic is. It's just completely different. And so what you're talking about here is a fundamental shift. And I think it's people are starting to get it. And Vanessa said something about like, hey, I've seen a lot of people closing down their courses lately. Do you think that's part of why this is happening? Or talk to me about what you're seeing or thinking about courses and their
Yeah.
place in the world of community and content's place. Because I think people are starting to get this fundamental shift that's happening here.
Yeah. So Here's what I would say is, you know, courses online have really been about how do I create evergreen content that then people come in and consume? And I can go and the promise was that that would be passive income. I would be able to set it up and, like, automate the heck out of it and then, like, go live my life. And I would have all the money just pouring into me. Then in parallel to that, social media kind of emerged, which was the promise of you get to build this amazing audience of followers and that people who love you, and that, all you have to do is post like 7 times a day, and you have to do 7 times a day on 5 different platforms. Oh, and by the way, every single one of those platforms is telling you that their algorithm is going to like you better and your content better if it's unique. So now that 7 times 5, I think that's 35. And so I'm like, that'd be kind of embarrassing.
Don't do math in
It's
public. It's
happening, but
scary.
I can't do simple math. But I did do it. I did do it. So the these were all promises that were on some level, they were tied to what was possible in the technology, and specifically this idea that, you know, we wanted people to so badly just be these consumption machines. But with courses, again, courses are just a version of content. Very quickly, course creators, I mean, you know this, Darrell, from your work, very quickly people were like, okay, well, no one's coming back. So I made these beautiful courses and fancy setups, and no one's coming back. So then what did people do? Well, wait a second. Maybe if we create a Facebook group and have a community that the people taking this course can talk to each other, that would help bring them back, which sounds a lot like retention, engagement, and like all the things that make business work, versus the one and done. Don't, might look at the first lesson if you're lucky. So first of all, I'm not off base. So now, like, we've got courses in one place, we've got a Facebook group, and then you're trying to send people. So now all of a sudden it's like you launch something and somebody buys something from you, especially high ticket. You're sending an email out that says go to these 6 different places. Like, go to this place for my courses, go to this place for my community, go to this place for my challenge. My events are over here. Follow me on social media. So you got all these different things going on. And what's funny is we started Mighty for people. So going back to what is behind Mighty, my vision is I want to live in a world where it is so easy, trivial even, to meet the most interesting people, to have software that breaks the ice and just makes it feel really natural and normal, to be surrounded by people that you're like, oh my God, these guys are awesome. These people are so interesting. I had things I can learn from them. I already see how I'm going to achieve results and transformation in ways you might not be using that word at that moment, but results and transformation I'm not going to be able to get on my own. I love my life. I love my life. I love the potential that I see for myself, my family, my friends, these amazing people that I'm meeting. And that requires software that can scale connection, introductions, nurturing relationships, coming up with really, really fun and creative things for people to do together, and then knowing who wants to meet and build relationships with each other. Because it feels a lot different to walk into a party where the host immediately comes up to you and is like, oh my God, Gina, I'm so glad you're here. I invited Darrell because I want you guys to meet. Darrell, come over here. Come over here. And like, Gina, Darrell, this is why I wanted you guys to come tonight. I wanted you to talk about the fact that you are both passionate about what people bring to each other and how to make people feel amazing when they walk in the door. I'm going to go talk to some other people, but you guys, like, I think you're going to have an amazing time talking to each other. Maybe I sat you guys next to each other at dinner. Doing that across billions of people, just think about it. First of all, just every person at that dinner party is special. Think about the contrast to that vision versus people are numbers of followers, of consumers, of audience, passive, less important, less interesting, less than. Social media has been a platform and a category of, we're going to make you feel less than, and we're going to show the most popular people by who is acquiring more and more people, versus what we are doing with Mighty and what the power of community is, which is that every single person who walks in the door feels special from the first second, the first email, the first touch, and the people that they are meeting feels like the best party you've ever been to.
Hmm.
And the reality is that we now have the software that can do that. So coming back to your original question, what's happening to courses? Well, number one, courses were always a fallacy the way that they were set up. We did not actually start Mighty to support courses. The course creators came to us when they saw what we were doing with community was different. We would have never started courses without folks like Missy Elmer and others who were like, stop trying to integrate other course platforms, Gina, just build it yourself. Like, this is so much better, like when courses are integrated into a community. And I think you'll see with Tom in the next session, and with Jane, how we have done that and how we will continue to do that. But fundamentally, if you are building your business today, content first, not even content first, but just like content based. And the number of creators I talk to that are like, I just want to build content. I want to write newsletters and I want to speak in public where I can't even see the audience. Like, I want to be that arm's length from people. You know what's cool is you can absolutely be arm's length. The difference when you build a community is that you want to be the host of that community. So that, again, the goal is you're introducing people to other members, and you're doing so in some really strategic ways that once you understand, it just gets really, really easy. And we have all of the resources that will just take you through that step by step by step by step. But when you shift your mindset from I've got to produce content to I want to be the host of a party, or facilitate a really hands-on workshop where the people are doing the majority of the work and
Mhm.
I'm there facilitating. The reality is that you will end up building a much more robust, profitable, scalable business. And I'll give you my favorite example of this. I think we can all agree that Disney is a really great content company. Probably, can we all agree that probably the most valuable content company in the world? Probably. Okay.
I think so.
This is from a few weeks ago, but Disney's market capitalization, what the world thinks it's worth, is $85 billion. That's a lot of money, right? Okay. But they have to produce their own content. They're essentially the ultimate mega creator. Like, Disney is a mega creator, and they've got to produce content, and it's their IP and all this stuff. $85 billion. Now, what I am talking about and what we enable at Mighty, again, in the same way Shopify enables an e-commerce store, Mighty enables a network of people to not just consume your content, but actually like organize into groups and be able to apply your content in their lives. So that subtle difference. So from consumption to action, to networking, to connections between people. Sounds like a social network. Sounds like a social networking company or a social media company. Disney's worth $85 billion. The most valuable company in the world that does that kind of networking of people is Meta, and it's worth what, 1 trillion, 1.5 trillion? It's it's worth like 1 zillion Disneys. And yet, I still feel like there's a whole set of content creators who are like, "Yeah, but," or "Community's really hard," or, so the question that I just ask is, number 1, are you there to just continue to exhaust yourself on a content treadmill? And by the way, if you are, respect. Like that, if that is what you want to do, I respect that. But with 1 or 2 small tweaks, you can keep doing all the content production that you want and have fun with it, while people are getting significantly more value from it by being able to apply it with other people who are on the same path. And it literally only takes a couple of degrees of tweakage. I don't know that tweakage is a word, but I'm going with it
I'm here
anyway.
for it though.
Yeah,
I'm
I
here
kinda
for it.
like I liked it too. Like 1 or 2 degrees of tweakage, now people are taking your ideas, your content, and running with it with other people. And by the way, that's incredibly valuable and more sustainable. So guess what? With 1 or 2 small tweaks to a content business, you can create something that you can charge more money for, that, again, there's a little bit of a mindset. That is, I'm not even trying to make that a word. That's just a, like, talking too fast. Uh, a little bit of a mindset shift, which is, okay, wait a second. How do I make sure that the things that I am producing, people can take and run with them? And that is actually how you get engagement. That's how you get people contributing. One of the things that I see a lot is that people want to just apply the same things that they're doing in social to a community where they still are the most important person in the community, and it's about people coming for their content. I've even heard a creator say to me, "But but Gina, my members, they're not that smart. They don't actually have good perspective for each other. I don't want them talking to each other." My response to that is, sounds like you don't respect the people who follow you, but that's it. We'll put that aside for a second. It sounds like you have not created a culture by which people can share their stories, experiences, and ideas, because every single person on planet Earth has stories, has experiences, has ideas and perspective that matter, that matter, that are valuable, that have tremendous potential. And unfortunately, we've been living in a world where I talk out at you and my value is based on my numbers, the number of people who I can get to consume my stuff. And the fact that we call it a community, like, I don't own the word community, but let's just say if I did, I would not let it be used in that way, because it is not.
I want to park here for a little bit because I think this is really important. The whole idea of creators becoming celebrities or putting themselves on pedestals. I think there's so many people in the room. This has been another theme that we've seen all week, which is if I were hosting a party and you came over to my house and I just sat in the corner of the room and told everybody to be quiet and just listen to me talk over and over and over and over again. Like, you might come one time. You make, if I'm really interesting and really smart, maybe 2 or 3 times. But eventually you're gonna be like, "I'm out of here, dude. Like, send me the replay. I don't wanna sit here. This is not fun. It's not enjoyable." And this is what we've seen with communities who are based on creators creating content, is people come until they're bored or until they're not getting value, and then they leave again. But if you
And
come to a
everybody's like,
party,
"Wait a second, why don't I have any engagement? There must be something wrong. Community's too hard. Community's too
community's
hard."
too hard, doesn't work, there's not retention in it. But, Gene, if I host a party every Friday, and every Friday you come over to my house and you meet somebody interesting, or you hear perspective from somebody different, or we're helping you actually have the transformation that you're there for
Right.
on a regular basis. This is why, like, some of the most transformational things in the world happen inside of community, things like AA, things like parent groups, things like those things people are in for years. They are in it together, they're having transformation. If you know every Friday you're going to come, you're going to meet somebody interesting, you're going to get new perspective, you're going to actually get help in that transition transformation.
Yeah,
I'm coming every week. I'm probably rearranging my schedule.
that's right.
And so now all of a sudden you have the ability for like retention to exist over a long time. So this is a trend that I think is really important, and why I love the metaphor of host so much. And I'd love to just park there for a little bit. It's like this idea of host. It also means that if you're just getting started, you don't have to become a category expert.
No, like, again, the people who host parties are just good at bringing people together, putting a stake in the ground and saying, I am taking the social risk of opening this space up for you around this. And there are ways, again, to make it much less risky around, reaching people in a transition, um, focusing on how the people you're bringing together are going to have a lot in common. So again, that's how you create a party where they just keep talking well after you go to bed. Um, and so you really nailed it though, Darrell, is like, I'd rather come to your office on Friday mornings in Minneapolis where I know interesting people are going to show up. And I think this is one of the most, again, it's a slight tweak. That's what's so fascinating about it. It is a slight tweak. And yet the difference when somebody is coming over from a content world, that they think that the only value that they're creating is with themselves. So I've seen this. How many people have seen, like, oh, if I'm gonna charge, especially if I'm gonna charge a premium, it has to be for my time. I should be doing one-on-one coaching with people, or I'm gonna create new content every week. And then what happens, as opposed to, hey, this is why we're coming together. This is the group I'm curating. And by the way, curation is easier and you can be anybody. Again, you don't have to be famous to host a party. You just have to have a birthday. Like, human beings are like, okay, got it. I'm going to come to that birthday party. And so when you start to think about it in that way, you're creating more value with less work. And unfortunately, I think in the world of social media, that sounds false. It can't possibly be true. So what I see a lot of times is people will go through our People Magic Profit and they'll, embrace the 9 pillars. And then at the very end, they'll get a little nervous about charging. And so they'll add, and I'm going to do one-on-one coaching, and I'm going to do, brand new content every week. And because they're coming from a place of fear, because they've lived in a world where their entire value to this system is how big their audience is and what their audience is consuming, because they haven't had all of the software dynamics and tools and techniques to be able to connect people to each other in a social context, even on Facebook groups or even on other community platforms. It's just harder to do, and it's where we've really invested our time, effort, and energy, uh, and have gotten some pretty incredible results as a as an outcome of that. Outcome was me trying to not say results twice in a row. But it's so interesting when I'm diagnosing a community that's not working, especially a community for a creator that's not working, and, how it shows up is, "Hey, I just don't have any engagement." It's crickets in there. And I go back to, okay, or another one I heard a couple weeks ago was, "I'm exhausted. Community is so exhausting. All I wanna do is write my newsletters, and I wanna I wanna go to places and publicly speak." And I'm like, "Okay, well, what are you doing in your community?" Because I run a community and it's super chill and fun, and if you talk to people like Martinez Evans, like, he's like, "I'm the community runs itself." The difference is that fear that people are only coming for you. So if they meet other people, they won't value what you have built. That is the root issue. And there are literally 9 things you can do to set it up that it's not an issue. The most challenging part of that is the psychology that, we've all spent hours and hours and hours being told and investing in a system where our relevance is it's about us. It's about the individual, not the community or the collective that we're creating.
I love Jen's comment here. She says, I resisted starting a Mighty Network for so long because I could not imagine the work of creating unlimited content. And she's seen other people having to like just be on, you call it the treadmill of content before. And I think that this is starting to click. I'm seeing so many people where it's like clicking, like, oh my goodness. Yes, having a community is incredibly hard if I have to create unlimited content from now until the end of time. That feels like the worst. But when we just have this like, again, these slight
Yeah.
switches, these slight paradigm shifts, it's a whole different thing. And I
I
love
mean,
watching the chat because
yeah,
it's just connecting for so many people.
it's so funny to me because, so much of building a really profitable, amazing community is just a mindset shift. So I'll give you an example. We work really closely with some of the creators on our platform. Again, people pay attention to what they pay for. Like, we charge a lot of money for it. We know what we're doing, and we get people incredible results. So today, what's fascinating is we have more $1 million communities on Mighty Networks than on any other platform. And what I have seen out there in the market is, and by the way, why do we have that? For all the reasons that we're talking about. For the, all we've done is said, instead of being Disney, let's create Meta. Let's build software that lets creators have their own network. And if we do that, we'll be leaning into the value created by those networks. They're easier to run. They are easier to create value. More people are going to be doing more work and coming back and creating value for each other versus leaning into, Disney and the idea that it's about content, 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 content. Okay. So given that, we've shown a lot of results and we've shown a lot of people who have been wildly successful. I think you've met some of them over the last couple of days. And yet, I have seen people say things like, easy for them. They had X, Y, or Z, which, by the way, is not true. Or I've even seen other community platforms and the leaders of other community platforms being like, I can't believe Mighty is suggesting that you can make $1 million with a community. It's like, really? Like, the whole idea, if I were to come to you and pitch, okay, you're going to have to create unlimited content. You're going to have to, you're going to move from an audience where you can put content out and they're just consuming, because of algorithms. And instead it's, hey, we're going to teach you how to host. We're going to support you with software that makes that hosting easier and easier and easier so that people are finding each other and you don't have to do the work. Like, which pitch do you think I would rather be giving the world? It's really hard and no one's going to engage and it's going to be crickets and you're going to have to do a ton of work and it's not going to be any fun, but maybe you can eke out a couple $100,000. Or we're technologists. We're like, okay, how do we take the essence of what makes people absolutely amazing and support that host of a Mighty Network with doing enough, just enough to get those people talking to each other, get those people sharing their stories and experiences and ideas. Again, not advice. Advice shuts a conversation down, where stories, experiences, and ideas lift people up, expand the conversation, give people more ideas for more stuff to do, which is, by the way, did you notice the beginning of this talk? I'm talking like I am literally and sincerely asking Darrell what he learned over the last 2 days. What he shared was amazing. And if I asked the same person in the chat, you guys would have created and observed something else, and I would have been smarter because of that. That is the power of a network. It's about the stories, the experiences, and the ideas. Like, what was Darrell's experience of the last few days? It's different than what Jane's experience of the last few days would be, or somebody else's experience of the last few days would be. That is life. That's why we're here. That's how we learn. That's how we evolve. That's how we find meaning and purpose and all of the things that make life rich and multidimensional and dynamic and awesome. Or we can believe that we live in a world where community requires grinding and infinite content, and it's all about you, and that if you're not doing one-on-one coaching or if you're not in live streams, then the whole thing will fall apart. It might fall apart if you haven't set it up to respect and celebrate your members and how amazing they are, and that happens a lot, unfortunately. But there is absolutely no reason why a community cannot be a new revenue stream for you, the path to 7 figures and beyond, the ability and the opportunity to reimagine or rethink your business, especially if you're struggling. And if you are just starting out, the amazing thing is you're going to just have to make a decision whether or not you want to um, buy into the, okay, I can't do a community or my own business until I build a huge social media following, which may or may not be the thing. Like, I'm not good at it. Like, I'm not good at it. Try sometimes. And then I'm like, community is just so much more fun. I'm like, not that interested. At which point, Darrell and other people on my team are like, could you please try to get more interested in this? And I'm like, okay, sure. I'll try. But I'm not, right? I mean, I think it's fair. But community is just so much more fun. People are more fun, especially when you, again, just make those, again, small tweaks,
Yep.
and then you're in a better situation
And
altogether.
this is what today is all about, by the way. We've had, I mean, 2 days, full days, 12 sessions of inspiration, talking about the mindset, talking about hearing other people's perspective and story. And we saw the themes that wove it all together. It's all about people all the way through. And today, what we wanted to do is we wanted to give you the tools and the tool and the platform to actually build something. If you're wanting to really take this creator thing by either adding a revenue stream if you already got a creator business, or if you're wanting to get started, that's what today's all about. Is we want to share the background. We want to share what Mighty's all about. We want to share about this transition from being on this constant like content treadmill to building a community and how this can become more defensible in the world of AI. We want to actually show you the platform, which we're going to do next. And then after that, if you like, okay, but how am I going to get members? We're going to like literally walk you through the foolproof process of getting your first 30 members. And you don't have to have a newsletter. You don't have to start a newsletter. You don't have to have social media. You don't have to start social media. It's literally a foolproof method that we've seen work over and over and over again for people to get 30 members. And the question is always, Gina, why 30 members? Why just 30 members? Like what about 30? Why not 300 or why not 3,000? Why is the first 30 members really matter? It's really
It
simple.
is real clear. Like, at 30 people, you have enough stories. You have critical mass of stories, experiences, and ideas for those 30 people to keep coming back without you.
Yeah.
Without you. Now, if you are sitting there with 30 people and they're not coming back, that has everything to do with how have you set up the culture of your community, and we can help you fix that with People Magic Profit.
Yep, exactly. Not only that, let's say you were to start a community and charge $29 a month. You were to get 30 people there, which I think anybody can do in a month's time. That's $10,000 of revenue per year. Now, if you're just getting started, that $10,000 is like a real and substantial amount of money when you're getting starting in a business. So that 30 is not just about like, it's not only about getting people in where you don't have to be there all the time. It's also about, hey, this is now like a substantial starting point if you're just getting going. And I think it's a great and easy starting point. One of my favorite comments so far, Gina, is about people magic, which I'd love to spend a little bit of time on at the end here, is the people magic idea a bit.
Sure.
Is I forget who it was, maybe Victoria or I can't remember. I have to scroll back up. But basically said, I started with 4 members and then I let People Magic do its thing and I grew to like 30 or 40 members. It is like magic. Can you talk a little bit about the idea of People Magic and some of the things that are going on here? Because I think it's super
Yeah.
interesting.
So, especially if you're new here and you're like, what the hell is people magic? Like, why do they keep talking about people magic? Here's the fundamental idea. How do we use software? What is available to us as technologists today? And I may not look like a technologist, but I am. Like the technology available today that lets us play the role of amazing host in your life. So what would that mean? It means software that takes all the data that's available. So the data of when you sign up and questions that you answer and custom questions for that community, plus APIs that pull in any CRM data about you as a member, plus the things that you do within the community. Now, again, the reason this is not creepy is because we're talking about a smaller community that has a lot more focus to it than, general purpose social networks. So we take all of those things, the implicit behavior, the explicit, this is what am here to achieve. This is who I am. This is where I live. This is what's interesting to me. And then what people magic does is essentially use all of that information to start clustering members in interesting ways so that you can meet the most interesting people as quickly as possible. Now, what makes somebody interesting? Well, it turns out social science is really clear on this stuff. Do you live in the same place? Do you have the same goals? Are you roughly the same level socioeconomically? Do you have similar life experiences? There's all these things that we can use, and then a whole bunch of other things that because of the sheer volume and scale that software can actually do that humans can't do, we can find even more unexpected things that create unexpected relevance. So we are building the software that we call People Magic to enable and unlock these kinds of dynamic introductions to other members in the community, dynamic clustering of members that might actually want to talk to each other or apply the ideas of a course together or go on a quest together or a dynamic meetup where members can actually physically go meet up together and all of the headache of logistics and is this people coming and blah, 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 blah. Like software can take care of all of that, especially with what's now possible with AI. So if you're thinking about AI as like, oh, AI is a way for me to replicate myself. AI is a place for me to move faster to create more content. We have a very different application for AI with People Magic, which is AI to make the most interesting connections between real human beings. And we know that that is the most valuable thing any host, any creator, any entrepreneur, any brand can create in the world. And just think about how different that is than, choosing your community platform based on, well, does it have gamification? Does it have badges? How many live streaming members can be on the screen at one time? Versus, wait a second, is this platform going to help me build that party instantly so that when somebody comes and pays $29 or $48 a month, which is the average amount our hosts are charging members on a Mighty network, or even high ticket, that you're actually able to provide 10 times the value of a high ticket offering because your members are meeting the most relevant people as quickly as possible. And they have things to talk about and they're able to learn really quickly. And that there is trust. There is trust that is what works. I love this, Angela. It's like a party, but if the host is too involved, it gets obnoxious. The community wants to engage on their own, less work for amazing results. So true. Imagine if the host of a party just made, to Darrell's point earlier, made themselves the center of attention, and that the only value of being at that party was like one-on-one side conversations with the host in a back room. Ew, like
Yep.
you never do that. Never do that.
Well, this has been awesome, Gina. I think there's a lot happening. One of my favorite comments that just came up is somebody said, I've learned so much just from other people in the chat already, which is exactly what we're talking about. Is like, if you're finding value in people asking questions and people sharing their stories and people who've been on Mighty for a long time or a short time or not at all, it's like the mix of the perspective that people are learning from. And I think that's so, so huge. So here's what we've done. I want to make this really, really easy for everybody. Is there's a link right underneath this video. If you're wanting to get started with your own network, it's $199 for your first year, and that's it. So that's a 40% discount if you were just to buy it any day normal. If you just go to our website and buy it every day normal, but that's not all that we're going to give you when you sign up. It's not just the platform. Gina, talk about the People Magic Profit course, because I think this is actually like, this is worth well over the $199 by itself, but it's basically what you've learned over your entire career about building community. So tell us about the course, because not only do you get the platform, you're now getting this course as well. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with unlocking how to make it trivial, just the easiest possible. And by the way, like there's the course and you got to learn it, but like in 2 years, you just have to have a good idea and a starting handful of people. So that's like the vision of where this is going. So you can also think about the course as like that's our blueprint for what we are continuing to build at Mighty. And it's probably a really good opportunity to also, somebody was asking like how is Mighty different? Like go look at the 9 pillars of People Magic Profit, which are, start with people in transitions. We call it, your ideal member, which sounds a lot like who's your ICP, whatever. Ours is a little bit different, which is we've seen time and time again, niches are too hard to figure out. They're just hard. What's really easy is pick people in a transition. So even if you have a broad framework, or as a creator, you've got this like really sort of big footprint, we encourage even the most high profile creators to start with a specific transition that people are in. Why? Because it's not about you and the power of your framework. It's about how people who are on the same path are applying it alongside each other. And then how do you get them results in transformation? We call it your best year ever. Why? Because it's more fun to think about your best year ever than results in transformation. Bringing that together into your pitch, and then what are members doing together? So how do you create, again, that being that host of a party, that small incremental set of tweaks, monthly themes, a weekly calendar, daily polls and questions. If you're asking, well, Gina, what do those mean? You're moving really fast here. That's why we have it. It step by step, day by day, we've got you covered. And then finally, we will tackle in People Magic Profit what trips people up day in and day out, which is what is your offer? So what are you going to charge? How are you going to like add value in it? How are you going to launch it? And then what we added, because it actually matters a lot, what is that magical first experience that you are creating for people who have just spent a lot of money with you? And guess what? I'll give you the answer. It is not about creating an email that you're sending somebody to 5 different places. That does not create a magical first experience, and anybody that tells you that that is the preferred mode of operating is, is operating in a different world.
Yep. Okay, so you get the platform, 199 for first year. You'll get this course, which literally our friend Rick, who's now become a friend, he came to our first ever summit. He bought the platform, he went through the course, and now he's basically making a full-time living from the community that he started just 6 months ago. So that's the whole idea of having the year is you've got now the platform for a whole year to build this out. You've got all of the resources here and now a challenge. So on July 7th, we're starting a challenge where everybody who signs up for this offer from the summit, and again, we've had over 10,000 people register for this event. And so there's going to be a whole group of people who are just getting started, just like you, who are going to go through day by day exactly what you need to do to get started, to get set up, to have the confidence of getting your first members in. And so you're going to have that as well. And Gina, on top of it, we're going to be giving away 3 months of creator masterminds, which is our brand new community for creators just like this. So uh, all of that for $199. I'm going to keep it short here. We'll talk more about it throughout the day as we're going through workshops. We're already a few minutes behind because I want to get Jane and Tom in here to show you what Mighty looks like and to show you not just what we have, what we are, what we've done in the last 6 months, and what we're thinking about in the future. And it's going to be a
Yeah.
great session here coming
I
up.
gotta say, I'm sticking around for it, not on screen. I'm gonna go into the chat, but I'm sticking around for it because even though I've seen it a bunch of times, it never gets old.
It never gets old.
Never gets old.
So the link is right below the video if you want to get started right now. We're going to take a 5-minute break, which will give you plenty of time to get set up and started right now. We'll be back in 5 minutes with Tom and Jane to walk through the Mighty platform. So we'll see you soon.